Some common laboratory apparatuses. So whenever an experiment is performed, so different types of instruments are required to perform that experiment. So in chemistry or in chemistry lab, there are different apparatuses that are used. So let us see how those apparatuses look. The first is test tube. So test tube is a thin glass tube which is having an open top and a U-shaped rounded bottom, and it is used to hold materials for small scale laboratory tests. Means when the tests are carried out at small scale, these test tubes are used. Then we can see boiling tube. So it is again looking like a test tube only. So it's a special type of test tube that is made specifically for boiling some chemicals, and it is made up of heat resistant borosilicate glass. So this borosilicate glass, it is resistant to high temperature, means when we are heating it at high temperature, it will not break. So that's why it is used. Then we can see test tube holder. Now when we are carrying out experiments in the test tube, sometimes it would be difficult for us to hold this test tube by hand. So a test tube holder is a type of iron tongs, and it is having a wooden handle. So it is used to hold a test tube when it is heated, because it becomes hot and it would become difficult to hold it by the hand. Similarly, we have test tube stands. So it can be a plastic stand or a wooden stand, and it is used to place clean test tubes which are not in use, or when we are doing some experiment or some liquid chemicals are kept in them. So to hold the test tubes, we use this. Then we have glass tube. So glass tube is actually a hollow tube which is made up of glass. It can be of different lengths and different thickness, and it can be bent by heating on the burner also. Then we have glass rod. So when we are mixing any two liquids or when we are mixing any two chemicals, so a rod is required for stirring the liquid. So that's why we use glass rod. Then we have beaker. So a beaker is again an open glass container. It is cylindrical in shape. So it is having a flat base, and it can be used for mixing, stirring and heating different types of liquids, means experiments can be carried out. Then we have flask. So a flask is actually again a container which is made up of glass, and it has a narrow neck. Narrow neck is there. Now flask can be of three types depending on shape. So we have a conical flask. As we can see here, it has a shape like that of a cone. Then flat bottom flask is there, whose bottom is flat. Then we have a round bottom flask also, whose bottom is rounded. Then we have funnel. So a funnel is actually having a wide mouth and a narrow stem. So it prevents spilling of liquid, and when we have to transfer liquids, let's say to a beaker or to a test tube with a narrow opening, so in that case funnel can be used easily. Then another kind of funnel which is known as thistle funnel. So a thistle funnel is again having a long glass tube and a round shaped section at the top. So it is used to add liquid to an existing setup of apparatuses. Then we have separating funnel. Separating funnel is also made up of glass. It has a stopper and a stopcock at the bottom. So it is used to separate two liquids of different density. So it is used to do separation of liquids. That's why we call it as a separatory funnel also. Then we have china dish. So a china dish is actually a shallow ball which is made up of porcelain, and it is used to evaporate liquids. Means when we have to heat liquid, so we put it in china dish and we evaporate them by heating. Then we have a watch glass. It's a circular, slightly concave piece of glass which is used to evaporate liquids. Or when we want to hold the solids, like when we want to have any chemical, so we weigh it on the watch glass. Then mortar and pestle are used to crush and grind or to mix some solid substances. So we use mortar and pestle. So again it is also made up of porcelain, and pestle is again a heavy stick made up of porcelain used to grind the substance by crushing. Then we have iron stand. As you can see here, it is a combination of a metal rod, then iron clamp is there, and a heavy metal base is there. So it is used to hold glass apparatus like flask, funnel when we are performing some experiments. Tripod stand is why we call it as a tripod stand, because it has a 3 legs and it is a 3-leg equipment made up of cast iron, again used to hold different things. Then we have spirit lamp. It's a flattened cylindrical glass vessel which is having a brass neck through which a cotton wick passes. So to burn or to get heat, we use the spirit lamp. Similarly, we have Bunsen burner. So it is having a base made up of cast iron with a vertical tube rising from it. And again, we supply gas to it and it is used to produce flame for performing heating. Next up, we have another type of apparatuses like wire gauze. It's a net-like mesh of interconnected stands and it is used to spread out heat evenly. Means we put it on the burner to spread out the heat evenly. Here we can see this wire gauze. Then reagent bottles, they are the glass containers which have a stopper or a cap. So they are used to store chemicals. Sometimes reagent bottles are colored and we put those chemicals which are sensitive to light. Pipette. A pipette is a narrow glass tube which is used to measure and dispense a known volume of liquid. So in the pipette, some known volume of liquid can be filled and can be dispensed. Then burette is a cylindrical tube which is made up of glass and there are different volumetric graduations made on it and a stopcock at the bottom. To dispense an accurate amount of liquid, we use it in different experiments like titrations and all. Then we have measuring cylinder. Again, whenever we want a specific amount of liquid or a specific volume of liquid or water, we use this measuring cylinder. Next is the gas jar. So a gas jar is a cylindrical glass container with a broad base and a broad opening which is used to collect gases evolved as a result of the experiment. So sometimes in the experiment gases are obtained as the product. So gas jar is used to collect those gases. Then we have beehive shelf. So beehive shelf is an apparatus which is used to support a gas jar while a gas being collected over water. So we will be using this beehive shelf when the gas is being collected over water. Similarly, we have a trough. So a trough is again an apparatus which is used for holding water while a gas is being collected over water in a jar placed on a beehive shelf. Means all these three apparatus are interrelated to each other when the gases are being collected. So in that case, the trough will be used for holding water in it when the gas is being collected over water in the gas jar. So these are the apparatus that are used in the chemistry lab for performing various experiments.